We are learning sickening new details about the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The police report reveals that the 22-year-old was beaten to death with a mystery object, beaten so badly that she suffered a, quote, disfigured skull. Her body was then reportedly dragged to a secluded area. The suspect in this atrocious crime is a Venezuelan illegal immigrant who crossed the border back in 2022. Republicans are calling Riley's death a result of President Biden's lax border policies. But Democratic Congresswoman Katie Porter is defending the president. She says, quote, it's important we don't make too much out of this one innocent girl's murder. Watch.
Well, I think when a horrible tragedy like this happens, I think whenever we're dealing with violent crime, there is a sense of outrage, of sadness, and of loss. But I think the important thing to focus on is any one instance shouldn't shape our overall immigration policy, which has so many different facets, including economic choices about what workers to allow in and how to create prosperity in America. So the situation is tragic and it's a loss, and it's important to acknowledge that, but also to recognize how all the other parts of immigration policy fit together.
Kennedy, I note Chad Prather's tweet in response to Katie Porter's comments saying, well, they shaped a lot of policy after George Floyd died. I'd say Laken Riley's murder is a solid reason to shape overall immigration policy, especially when it was caused by federal policy, he writes. Katie Porter would change her tune if it happened to her.
I'm trying to figure out what she lacks more, empathy or competence. And it's a shame when our lawmakers are in a race to the bottom with themselves like that. But, you know, again, she's from the same hellish political cauldron that Kamala Harris is. And all of these California politicians are very unserious about identifying and solving immigration and border security issues. Immigration and border security, obviously two different things, but you have the president who is, willing to give 500,000 Venezuelans temporary protected status. And, this alleged murderer, would have fallen under that umbrella. So maybe we have to think about how our country vets people, and instead of building a welfare state, maybe build a better system so you keep bad people like this out. Or better yet, if someone like this commits a crime, send them back to where they're from. Hardworking people, loving people, people who want to make this country a better place, they are welcome. People who are willing to hurt and kill innocent Americans with their entire lives ahead of them, not welcome, and certainly should have been sent back before he was in that position to kill her.
And Congresswoman Porter is now running for Senate. And on her website, she proclaims, first and foremost, that she's smart and tough and fearless. And when it comes to protecting California families, she does not back down. I guess that doesn't extend to protecting Georgia families?
Well, there's a couple of things going to come out of this. Number one, in just a matter of months, Katie Porter will no longer be in Congress, and that's a good thing. As you go forward, and you look at this, though, I thought I could only be offended greatly last night by Joe Biden eating ice cream and talking about the border and talking about a young lady, that was killed because of multiple points in which this person could have been taken out of the system and not been a part of this. And him eating ice cream, I didn't think I could get more disgusted until I just saw Katie Porter. Don't make too much of it. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is what people in New Hampshire and Iowa and everybody across this country, immigration is at the top of the concern because it has become front and center in their lives. Whether it's drugs, whether it's anything else, this has become front and center in what they do. So here in New York, you have immigration issues, you have the moped bandits, you have everybody else here. You have it in Chicago. It's no longer trapped at the border, and Joe Biden can't get away with it when it was just at the border. Now the Democrats and liberals are saying, wait, we thought this was down there where we didn't have to see it. Now I have to see it here. But it is infuriating. As a dad who had two sons who went to the University of Georgia, who lives 40 miles away from here, this is just intolerable.
I can't imagine being told by a congressperson that somehow a death needs to be tamped down, somehow it has to mean less, to somehow ration
badly right now. I'm praying that they're not watching much.
Yeah.
I'm praying for this family. And I'm wondering, too, as I hear Kennedy, you and I are yoked on this issue where it comes to just get rid of these people. Like, if they break our law to get here, kick them out before they break any more laws. And when they really break the law, why do we have to spend our tax dollars trying to adjudicate their cases and call them suspects? They don't enjoy our rights. They're not American citizens. Do we really want to say that they are also innocent until proven guilty? I mean, I know it's the human way that we are as Americans, but they're not Americans. Send them back when they break the law. But then I also think, well, what is best for this family for closure? And I have that now in my calculus. Do they want to see this adjudicated? I would want to know that. It's not up to them. But if we're going to have this kind of failure from the top down, now we have some really hard questions to ask ourselves. Do we spend more money trying to hold their feet to the fire and hold them accountable, or do we ship them back? And by the way, how long will it take for them to figure out how to come back here? Because the border is open.
And interestingly, Kaylee, Congressman Katie Porter's not from California, actually. She represents part of Orange County, but she's from Iowa, which is where Molly Tibbetts was brutally murdered by an illegal immigrant in 2018. So I find it interesting that apparently there's no... How many innocent girls have to die under her watch and in a community you would think she would care about, or just that it's Americans, for her to actually have some type of empathy as to policies or enforcement that should change?
Right, a 22-year-old died. She's no longer with us. Laken Riley's her name. As a person with basic humanity, look, she did acknowledge it was a tragedy, as she should have. I don't know where her heart is. I'm sure it's not in the wrong place, but as just basic communication of human empathy, there's never a but on the end of that. It's not, but this is one case. It is a tragedy. It needs to be fixed. End of story. But the White House statement is not too far off in its tone as to where Katie Porter was, because the White House said, we would like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Laken Hope Riley. People should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law if they are found to be guilty. Good. But then instead of a but, there's a given. And they say, given this is an active case, we would have to refer you to state law enforcement and ICE. There shouldn't be a but, there shouldn't be a given, especially when federal policy is the reason this is happening. This man was paroled into this country in September of 22 under President Joe Biden. So don't give me a given this is a state issue. No, it is a federal issue, one that you need to deal with. And then finally, I would just say this. NBC reporting, a source familiar says they're not considering a national emergency on the border, the Biden White House. ABC reporting, source familiar, they don't plan to announce any executive action, according to sources familiar. Don't go to the border and stand in the chaos you caused and not give us a deliverable. Don't go. Don't go. Stay home. There's no point to having you there to stand amid the fire you created.
How many more innocent people have to die? Our prayers remain with that Riley family.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.